fashion designers, welcome back to class. This is Modern Woman Apparel. I want to specially thank all my subscribers, and if this is your first time here, you're highly welcome. Please join us by hitting on the subscribe button, turn on your notification bell so as to get notified whenever I upload any videos. Thank you. So guys, in today's class we are going to be doing the part 2 of our short collar jacket. In the part 1 of this class, we did the drafting of our short collar jacket. So this is the front part of our jacket, while this is the back part of our jacket. So the link to the part 1 of this class is on the comment section. Feel free to check it out. So to begin with our class, first thing we have to do is to transfer these patterns to fabric. So guys, you can see I've gone ahead to transfer my patterns to fabric. You already know that we have added all our seam allowances except for this dot line we have here, which we indicated by putting this arrow here and the ½ inch here. So you can see the ½ inch here. I've added the ½ inch seam allowance here, and I've also added the ½ inch seam allowance here. Now this is for the front part, and I have 2 pieces of it. This is also for the side front, and I also have 2 pieces of it. I've also gone ahead to cut out my lining fabric the same way I cut out my main fabric. Now for this part here, for this very front here, please do not use your ordinary lining for this front part here. Like for me, you can see that I used a doll face fabric here. I want to have another color showing on the front collar by the time I put this on. But if you want your collar to have your main fabric, all you need to do is to also use this your main fabric here to cut out your lining for this center front here. I hope you understand. So use your main fabric to cut out the lining for this center front, except you want to use another fabric which is not this type of lining, please, to cut out this front part here. So this is the back part here. This is the center back and this is the side back. We have already added all the necessary seam allowances. We only have the seam allowance here that we have not added. So you can see the ½ inch here and ½ inch here to join these two together. Now you can make use of an ordinary lining for the both of them. The only part you are not to make use of an ordinary lining is on the center front. So you can either use a doll face, any other material you want to use, or you can also use your main fabric for the lining of the front part. So what I'm going to do now is to take this my front pattern here, the front part of this. So both for the lining, for the main fabric, and for this doll face I'm using for the lining here, what I'm going to do is to infuse my interfacing on the 4 of them. So you can see 2 here and 2 here. So guys, after infusing my interfacing on the front part, remember you're putting it on the front part, so the 4 center front parts, leaving the side front. Now it's time for us to start joining. So first of all, we have to pick up the front part. So you can decide to work from the back or you work from the front part. So to start joining, what I'm going to do is to pick up my center front. So this is my center front for this side and this is the side front, and I will join the both of them together, right side facing each other like this with ½ inch. I'll also pick up this other side here and join the both of them together with ½ inch. After I'm done with the front, I'll also pick up my back part. So this is the center back here and this is the side back. I'll join the right side facing each other like this with ½ inch. Also join this other part here, right side facing each other with ½ inch. So after joining these 2 parts and these 2 parts together here, what I'm going to do is to join the center too. So I will join the center with ½ inch. Remember, for the front you are leaving the center open, but for the back you are going to join the whole of these pieces together. So after joining the 4 back pieces, 1 2 3 4, this is what I have. You can see I've gone ahead to open press the seam line. So that is what you should do. Take it to your iron table and open press the seam line. So this is for the 2 sides here. Also do the same thing, open press the same lines. So you are going to take your lining and join it the same way you joined the main fabric. So you can see my lining here, I joined and also open pressed the same lines. Now what we are going to be doing next is to join the side. So remember I have 1 inch by the side. So I'm going to place this right side facing each other like this and join this side here with my 1 inch seam allowance, and also place this part here like this and also join with my 1 inch seam allowance. I'm joining the two sides. So after this, I also take the lining fabric and also join the sides. After joining the sides, the next thing I'm going to do is to pick these two up here. See this part here? I'm going to join this part here with 1/2 inch. So you're not joining the shoulder yet. Please don't join the shoulder yet. The next thing after joining the side is to pick these two parts here and join this upper part here. This is the two front parts. So I'm joining this thing we have here, this part here, like this, right side facing each other like this, and I'll stitch with 1/2 inch. So same way you're also going to join the lining fabric. So guys, after joining the side, so you can see my 1 inch for the both sides, and also join the collar here with your 1/2 inch. So after joining the collar, you press open your seam line. Now it's time for us to join the shoulder. So first of all, what we are going to do is to pick up this point here. So you can see the joining point we have here and the joining point of the back. So you can see the seam line here. Now we are going to match these two together like this. So you pin it down like this. After pinning it down, you also locate your shoulder dart joining, the joining you have for your shoulder darts, and you pin it down. So you start stitching from here all the way to this part here, and also start stitching from this center here all the way to the shoulder of this. So you can see I've joined my lining fabric here. So you can see what I did here. You can see my lining fabric is already joined. So guys, after joining, this is what I have. You can go ahead and notch the neckline, so you can give it tiny notches. You also do same to your lining fabric. Now before we join these two together, what we are going to do now is to attach our sleeves. And for this, we are not making use of a basic sleeve. We are using a 2-piece sleeve for this. That is the sleeve that is normally used for a jacket like this. So this is my 2-piece sleeve jacket here, and I also have a detailed tutorial of how I drafted this 2-piece sleeve from my basic sleeve. So the link to the tutorial is on the comment section. So what I'm going to do now is to use this sleeve pattern here to cut out my main fabric and my lining, adding 1 inch by the both sides for my seam allowance. So guys, I'm gonna have to transfer my pattern to fabric, and I added 1 inch by the side. So I have 2 pieces of this, and I also have 2 pieces of this. You already know, if you have watched the video, you already know I have already added 1/2 inch here for my joining allowance. I also added 1/2 inch here for my joining allowance, and you already know that this one here is not joining allowance. This was the 1/2 inch I removed from this part here, which I replaced back on this part here. Hope you understand. Now on this part, I added 1/2 inch seam allowance, but I later added another 1/2 inch, which means that this part here is carrying 1 inch seam allowance. So I'm going to use this fabric here to cut out my lining fabric. Now after that, what I'm going to do is to start joining. Now the essence of having this label here back and front is because we'll be using it to match this up by the time we are joining it. Now what I'm going to do is to remove this pattern here, still indicating where I have as my back and where I have as my front. So I'll put this mark on all the parts. So guys, you can see I've also cut out my lining, so the same labeling I have here, and also see it on my lining front and back. So you are going to do that to all the lining pieces. So guys, the next thing we are going to do now is to join this together. So what we are going to do is to pick the smaller part of the sleeve and the bigger part of the sleeve. Now this is why our labeling is important. What I'm going to do now is to look for the 2 pieces that will match each other. So this is front here and this is front. That means these two will match up. So what I'm going to do now is to take the front part and the front parts, and I'll bring it like this, right side facing each other, and I'll stitch here with my 1 inch seam allowance. Also this part here, this is the back and this is the back, so I will push it to this side. After stitching one side, I'll push it to the other side here, and also stitch me with my 1 inch seam allowance. So the same thing I did to this one, I'll also do to this one. So this is back and this is back. So I'm going to stitch this side with my 1 inch and also stitch this side with my 1 inch. So whatever I've done to this main fabric, I'll repeat same on the lining fabric. So guys, after you are done joining the sleeve, you turn it over to the right side. Now the next thing you're going to do is to notch the two centers. So the center of this down part of the sleeve, you notch it, and the upper side here, the side that is coming towards the shoulder. So this one is coming towards the shoulder and this is coming towards the underarm. So you notch here and also notch here. The next thing you're going to do is to pick up your fabric here, turn it to the wrong side, and since you have already turned this part here to the right side, now what you're going to do is the center here, this part that is going towards the shoulder area, you pick it up, tuck it in like this. So this is the right side of this main fabric here, is facing the right side of the sleeve. So you pin the notch you made there, pin it down. Also locate the center of this part here, that is the essence of the notch. You pin it down towards your armhole area, then you stitch with 1/2 inch. So you can see I've already done this other part here. The same thing you did on the main fabric, that is what you repeat on the lining fabric. So guys, after joining the sleeve, this is what I have for the main fabric, and this is also for the lining. Now it's time for us to join both the main fabric and the lining pieces together. Now the first thing we are going to do here is to create a space here. So you make an opening either on this center seam here or on any of these seam lines. You create a little opening because this is where we'll be turning out the jacket from. So guys, after creating the opening, the next thing you're going to do is to reduce the down part of this lining. So you reduce it by 1/2 inch. So you are reducing the down part of this lining by 1/2 inch. After the down part, you also reduce this sleeve side by 1/2 inch. So reduce the two sleeves by 1/2 inch. After the reduction, the next thing we are going to do is to place the lining and the main fabric right side facing each other like this. So place it right side facing each other. You match these two seam lines we have here. So match it up here and pin. You also come to this down part here, match all the seam lines you are having here, center to center, side to side. So after matching it up and pinning it down, the next thing we are going to do is to start stitching. So while stitching, you are going to start stitching from this center here. So stitch from this center to this part here, and also from this center to this part. Now when you get here, you notice that these two, they are not matching up because obviously this one is 1/2 inch shorter than this. So you can see the way I slanted my hand here. So I left the 1/2 inch here and went in towards this area. The same thing with this part here. So you can see now it doesn't affect the length of these jackets in any way, because as you already know, we added 1 inch for the seam allowance. So from here to here, you can see that it covers 1 inch. So it doesn't affect the length of this jacket in any way. So stitch and curve, slant your hand towards this way and continue. So push this part in and continue sewing till you are done. So guys, after stitching all around, the next thing we are going to do is to turn it over through the opening that we have made. So you are going to put your hand inside this opening and turn it over. So after turning, this is what we have. You can see that part of our 1 inch seam allowance, remember we added 1 inch seam allowance and we have used 1/2 inch to stitch this. Now you can see that part of the 1/2 inch is making a facing here. So this is what we want to achieve. Now the next thing we are going to do is to finish up the sleeve. So the sleeve is still like this. So the next thing we are going to do now is to finish up the sleeve. So after turning it over, the next thing for us is to finish up our sleeve. So as you can see, I've already done this part here. So I want to show you how to do the other part. Now the first thing you have to do is to bring it out from this opening here. You bring out the sleeve here, and also from this opening you bring out the sleeve of the main fabric. So as you can see, this is what I have here. So this is the smaller part of the sleeve here, and this is the wider part of it. You also locate the shorter part here. So this part here to the corresponding part on the sleeve. So what I'm going to do now is to match it up like this. See, so we are going to place it like this. Big part will be going towards the big part and the small one will be going towards the small one like this. Now we'll now pick it up, open it up like this, and pin it right side facing each other. So these two seam lines have to meet. So you're pinning it, the bigger part of the sleeve to the bigger part of the sleeve. So see what I'm doing here. So this is the bigger part of this lining sleeve and this is the bigger part of this main fabric. So I'm going to take it this way, making sure that the two seam lines are meeting up. I'll take it this way, the inside. So I'm pinning the right side to right side like this. It can be a little bit tricky, but just follow through with it, you will get it. So I'll also come here and match this one like this. Remember, I'm matching it right side facing right side. And I'll also come to this smaller one here, the smaller part of the sleeve here. You can see what I have here. So this part here, I'll open it up like this and match it. So after I'm done pinning, this is how it will be. Next thing I'm going to do is to start stitching. So I'm going to place it this way on my sewing machine and start stitching like this. This way. Start stitching. So I'm going to start stitching like this all the way. So you can see for this, you can see what I did here. So you can see this. So stitch all around. So guys, I'm done joining, so you can see what I have here. The next thing we are going to do is to bring it in. So put your hand here inside the sleeve and bring both the lining and the main fabric in like this. So to know if you really did a good work, if what you did is right, you have to put your hand inside this way to see if your hand will come out. So I'm going to put my hand inside to see if my hand will come out. You can see my hand is out, but if you did it the wrong way, you notice that your hand will not come out. So along the line you will see a blockage. So that means you didn't get it right. All you need to do is to loosen it again and redo it. I hope you understand. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to put the shoulder part, but before I do that, I'm going to give this a nice press. Now show you what I use for my shoulder part. So guys, the next thing we are going to do now is to be cutting out our shoulder part. So if you have the original shoulder part, you can make use of it. If you do not have, then you can join me and use this one. So you can either use a breast foam or you use wadding. So for this wadding here, you can see I used 2 layers of it. So what I did is to measure at 4.5 by 4.5 and I squared it. After squaring it, you just give it a curve here. You give it a curve and cut out. So
if you're using a wadding, 1 or 2 layers is just okay.
So I'm using this thick breast pad here. So I'm using 1 layer for this and I'm using 2 layers of this. I just want to use it to show you how you can cut out. Now for the wadding, if you are making use of wadding, after cutting out the 2 layers you want to use, you take it to your sewing machine and stitch. After stitching the inner layers, you trim off their seam allowance. Same thing applies to this one. If you want to use more than 1 layer, after stitching it together, the inner ones remove, cut out their seam allowance, so that by the time you put it on a dress, this part here will not be too obvious. So the next thing I'm going to do is to bring my shoulder like this. So this is the shoulder line here. I'll locate the center of this. Remember the right part, so the part that is going up will be facing down like this, making sure that the center meets with the center of this shoulder. Then I'll extend it a little bit outside of this seam line I have here. I'll pin it down and tack. So pin it down and tack, or if you want you can iron it because it still has gum on it. So if you want you can iron it, but just tack little places there so that to not be obvious. After fixing the shoulder part, you close up this place. Remember, whenever you have any adjustment to make on this, you are going to be making the adjustment from here. So you are going to be bringing this out from here to make any adjustment on this jacket. So after that, you close it up. So the next thing I'm going to also do is to fix my button and my buttonhole, and I'll show you what we have.
So guys, this is the outcome of our jacket. I'm sorry my voice is done. At the time of this voiceover, I was having a very terrible cough. So please, thank you so much for watching. Do not forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. And if this is your first time here, please, thank you so much for being here with us. Don't forget to subscribe and also follow me on my new Facebook page at Modern Woman Sewing Tutorials. Yeah, see you in my next tutorial. I'm Modern Woman. Bye for now.